What's going on, guys? Today I'm going to show you how you can get your very first creator points. You're going to want to open up a new project. For beginners, I definitely recommend picking slower paced songs. And the reason being is it actually is just easier to decorate to slower paced songs. So for the ground, I really like to choose just making it all black with a blank background. And for the background, just click this little plus button and you can change the colors. I'm gonna pick here. Alright, so now what you're gonna want to do is place down a block here, just one of these white ones. The object is going to copy the color of the background with just a slight drop in hue and just some brightness, no blending, right? And now color 1 is just going to copy the object color. So now whenever you place down a block, it just does this whole color here. Just keeping like some nice and simple shapes, honestly. So just make a whole bunch of really easy shapes. Alright, so I went ahead and just added like just some spikes on there, but this is the next crazy thing that you can do, and it's super easy. What you're going to want to do is just place down a line on top of all of the blocks. I recommend going and doing this on a brand new layer, and we're just going to go line it all up just like this. Alright, so as you can see, we've got a line on top of all of our blocks. Let's go ahead and select these, and we're going to put them on group 2, which is going to be just like a random super bright color. Put this on T2, just layered above the blocks. And what we're going to do is we're going to go to the colors, and we're going to go color 2 here, no fade time. And we're just going to keep it pulsing of this bright color, and we're just going to do the complementary pairs for each color here until we get back to that color here. Right, so now we have this whole color loop. We're gonna select this, and you go into the pause here, and right next to the keys button is gonna say create loop. Just go ahead and click that. Make sure that your fade times in here are all set to 0, and you kind of get this little flickering effect on your blocks. But yeah, you get this super nice flickering effect. And then one of my favorite things to do is go underneath all these blocks. We're gonna copy color 1 and just drop the brightness too, and just putting like a little under just to kind of break it up a little bit, and then just kind of play with the brightness with it until you get something that you like. Alright, so now we have this like super basic, but it's clean. Now what we're gonna do is we're just gonna give some small designs in there. So we definitely need to fill the spaces inside these blocks. So let's put all these in underneath, and we'll just keep it to half opacity. We'll just do this for the underneath parts of all of these blocks. So now we're gonna add a little bit of ground spikes, just nothing too crazy. I'm gonna choose these black ones, and then maybe even just chucking a bush inside some of the objects randomly. Maybe even throwing a spike in there, and then we can even just break it up and put one that's to color 2 on the bottom of the block and kind of push it behind the spikes in the layer. Okay, now let's go back to this block design here. I like to pick just one of these objects at random, and we can go put it on 3 like that, the same colors, that line that we used. Just kind of put it on the corners of all of our block designs, and that kind of just breaks it up a little bit, gives a little detail to our design. Even using like fake spikes too is always good, just to add a little bit of variance. Variation is probably the most important thing to building quality levels. Alright, so now we can have just a simple design. So now we need to add pulses that sync to the music, and this is where copying the objects to the background really makes your life easier, because now when we put a pulse on the background, it pulses everything, all the colors, to our object, and we'll just pulse it in sync with the music. Alright, so now we got some pulses. This is what it looks like. Okay, let's just go ahead and select some random spikes in here, and we'll just give them the outline of color 2. Kind of gives a little variation in there. Now let's add some deco to the sides of the blocks here. One of my favorite ways to do that is using these guys. Now we have a little design to the sides of our blocks here. Now this is my number 1 favorite thing to do to levels. What we're gonna do is we're gonna get this little guy right here called a gradient trigger. We're gonna place one of these down, just right in the beginning of the level. And if you hit edit special, it opens up this little menu here. I like to put this on additive and max. And then we're also gonna give this a group. Let's go to the next free. This is gonna copy the color of the background with opposite hue and a little brightness, and we're gonna drop the opacity. We're gonna go to the detail here, and then we're gonna copy the color of the background again with hue the other way and brightness full to the max, blending just like that. Now I know what you're saying. Oh, this looks atrocious. We have just like foggy mess. So this is grouped to 8. What you can actually do is you can put an alpha trigger linked to that group and just drop the opacity. That kind of just gives like a little vibrance to it. And I also like to rotate that same group. Kind of nice and slow. That always looks nice. Now for the next little guy, what I want to do, since this is very blocky and not very designy, we can just go to 9 and we're gonna do an area move, and we're gonna set this to move -5 on the X with ease in out. The radius is gonna be 12 blocks around the player, and we're gonna target the group to player 1, go effect 1, and then use group 9. Now all the blocks kind of move towards the player as we go. One thing that's also really slept on is orb designs. I like to put little designs inside of the orbs, and then maybe even chuck something on here like a bubble. Do something nice and simple like that. Then there's also just adding jump indicators as well. Let's use this one, and we'll just copy color 2. We'll just link this up with all of the jumps that we already have on here. I forgot we also need to select everything and put it back on 9. The next thing we're gonna do is just add some nice and simple spike designs. We're gonna have the base to 2, copy that little ripple effect. And I like to add one of these around it that's scaled up on group 9, and then just making this rotation a little slower. And see how we have these little guys mixing here? Let's go off of that and just make like a super big one that's linked to 7. We can just kind of throw these around in spots that need them. Let's go to the background. We need to make a custom background. This is probably the most important thing that people don't do. Let's just make a few little shapes here. Always put it on the B5 layer. That's probably the most important thing you can do. Now I know what you're thinking. Isn't this gonna kill the player? That's where you'd be wrong. It's not gonna kill the player. I'm gonna show you how, and this is gonna completely be a game changer if you don't know what I'm about to do. So we're gonna go select all of these. We're gonna go extra, and there's no touch. Now it won't kill the player when you touch it. We're gonna make it move 15 blocks in 60 seconds. And I actually don't like how much it pops through, so we're just gonna put an alpha trigger on 10 as well, and drop the opacity by quite a bit. A lot of people tend to make backgrounds be punching through, but you just need to let the designs in front breathe and just have the background objects complement the level. That's probably the most important thing. And I see we got some bubbles here. It kind of reminds me of fish. Super easy design for fish. It's just this. Just go like this or something, I don't know. Throw them on a few designs in the block, just like that. And we can even make like seaweed coming down from the top, and a good way to do that is just grabbing these guys right here, turning them around like this, and then just bringing one of them down like that. We'll just make it green, layer behind, drop the brightness on it, just to give a little depth maybe. Check this on to group 11 T4, and then scale it up, make a smaller one. Let's just change the move speed of this one to like 25% faster. Just kind of throw it around. Yeah, see, it gives a little bit of detail to it. Now for the last thing is glow. Glow is kind of overrated in a sense. It does make your levels a little laggy, so just pick and choose how much glow you use. We're gonna copy color 2 here, which was our flickering color. We're gonna give it blending with brightness and a slight drop in hue. And now we can just kind of put these around on the blocks. Keep it small, honestly. But yeah, now we have this just nice, pretty simple, easy looking decoration. My biggest advice for new creators is just keeping everything super simple. A lot of new creators tend to overcomplicate things for themselves, and that's just not how creating should be. You should just work within your abilities and improve on what you already know rather than trying to be someone else and do something how someone else does things. It never gets you anywhere. A good exercise for building levels is just going to the Ascent tab, finding a style that you like or something that you feel like you could build pretty good, and trying to, without copying directly from the level, try to rebuild what you've seen in the level. And just trying to understand how creators made something. That's a really good thing that I've done. That's how I made one of my old levels, actually, called Globe. I saw a level that someone made with this similar little curved style on the outside. I thought, oh, maybe I can build something like that. So I tried to build something that reflected that, and it didn't look exactly how I wanted it to in my head, but I learned how to build some things. It made me a much better creator and allowed me to build the things that I do today. Definitely recommend just observing other people's creation styles and trying to replicate that with your own original twist. That's the most important part. Don't steal people's designs, just try to take inspiration from things, and that'll definitely build you the most skill. Oh yeah, also another goated strat. Go to all layers, select all right here. Oh, I have a filter on. We're gonna select all, hit edit group, extra. We're gonna hit no glow to get rid of the fuzz on the sides of the blocks, and then don't fade and don't enter, so that when you're playing the level, the blocks on the sides of the screen come on smoothly. Oh, this should be your final product. Anyways, I hope that helps you guys get a little bit better of an understanding on creating, and hopefully one day you can get your first rate. Anyways,